This is Fam Electric Ghost, and this episode is Peg Sound Fetish. I'll do that trash with you. From the beginning of Fam Electric Ghost, when we found our voice as Josephine Electric, the lead singer of Fam Electric Ghost, who is me, through the use of vocoders, we've always had her play a dominatrix, alpha dominant, sexual addict, and she doesn't really care that that's what she is. I mean, she's admitted to herself that that's what the problem is in her life, but she open-heartedly dives into her sexcapades. And this latest song, Trio, it starts with the song "I'll Do That Trash With You," where Josephine's just taking her punk aesthetic attitude in an industrial electronic manner and just getting into that sex scene, which is what she tends to do in these type of songs. What we liked is we've been diving into the capabilities of our DFAM, which we continually are amazed on what you can do with the Drummer from Another Mother, which is an analog drum machine, doesn't have MIDI, doesn't have pads, it can't be manipulated easily with a DAW. I mean, you can do some things where you could convert the CV into a MIDI conversion and try to control it. But it is better suited to be controlled, as Sonic State would say, is your plate of filters. Or you actually use the control surfaces of the DFAM. And what I find is what I like to do is run the tape and then, play with the ladder filter, play with one oscillator on or two oscillators on, play with the FM modulation, the resonance, just play with all the aspects of the synth, the ability to do, hard sync and, make the second oscillator have a higher frequency than the first one. And then you get all kinds of different effects and different sounds out of it. And if you start to learn how it works and what the results are, you can play it as a musician. We've become a pretty good electronic musician with this analog modular gear. And we think that one of the things that is heartening is we just got signed to Kanga in space to be able to do online and live shows. They are now our booking agent. And we think it's because we've had this dedication to playing live and playing the instruments, not just running MIDI signals through a DAW. we pretty much, we use our BeatStep Pro, we use our analog equipment live. We've seen our Facebook live shows and our new shows that we've been doing on Twitch. We probably might hold off doing some of these live shows in order to make a demand for our new booker. You don't want to give something away for free when you're supposed to get paid. But we're very excited that we're going to be able to do this. We're going to put the link to our, how you can book the Ghost in this episode if you're interested in booking us. And so that we're pretty excited about that. But again, get back to music. Is like the DFAM was the main driver in that song. I'll Do the Trash With You. The other thing, it was our grandmother, which we initially used the grandmother a lot for the sequencer. We've been diving into the actual ability to play it as a lead instrument. And so there's a lot of lead lines and bass lines being done. We've got it wired up to use the high pass filter in a series with the low pass ladder filter. We're using the LFO or the modulation section of the system, which is really cool that you can actually turn that modulation on with the modulation wheel and use it like a pitch bend. What I find on the grandmother is using the modulation wheel like a pitch bending wheel and having different types of modulation kicked off by it is a good way of doing solos or doing lines that you want to have alternate sounds. And then also, putting an oscillator sync on and not having it on. When you play, it can have a really cool effect along with the spring reverb. There's so many control surfaces on the grandmother, similar to the DFAM, but it has a keyboard. And so as a keyboardist, you can do a lot of cool things with this instrument that if I go back to my Roland, I'm very expressive with the pitch bend modulation wheel and the supernatural sounds because they have different characteristics depending on how you use the modulation pitch bending stick that's on the Juno. But there's so many more control surfaces that are readily usable on the Moog. I mean, on my Juno, I've been able to do certain things. It's got a light control, which you can readily use. It's got some controls that you can readily use. And there are some aspects of its recording capability. You can play with some of the sound modification, and you can turn on some things through the touch screen. There's not a touch screen, but it's like an LCD that has some buttons that if you put it into different modes, you can, when you're playing live, kick off certain things. But it's not as immediate as if you had a Jupiter 6 or a Jupiter 8 or even a System 8. And that's why Roland has decided, to come out with the Jupiter X to give people all those control surfaces. And I think that's what the promise of like the people who talk about, I don't really need that kind of synth, but because it's been done before. But the thing is, it's been done before, but a lot of modern Junos, they don't have those control surfaces. Even the Phantom doesn't have the control surfaces that are on a Jupiter X. And so the promise of that is that, if you look at a synth like a Prophet, the Prophets have that level of control surface. Oberheims have that level of control surface. Moogs have that level. But when Roland kind of brings that Jupiter workflow back, it gives you the ability as a musician. And I've been very interested in a couple of synths that I think are really good. I mean, the Jupiter X, has some aspects. It's a performance synth with the control surfaces. If you're playing leads and you're playing live, that's a pretty cool instrument. But then you could argue that the Phantom, which it doesn't have as many control surfaces, but it has the ability to launch clips, does have enough of a synth engine with controls on it that you could do a lot, but not at the same level of detail in the subtractive workflow that the Jupiter has. And so, I could see a place for the Phantom is just a great workstation. Everything's readily apparent. That's a great synth to use. A Prophet X is another great synth because it has all that control surface plus samples. Gives you a totally different feel. But I've never really had a Prophet, and I've been really interested in getting one. But I've been a Roland guy and a Moog guy for so long, and an Arturia guy. I've never been able to get my hands on a Prophet. I think the Pro 3 is very enticing with its paraphonic capability and all those control surfaces. But the Prophet X has always been something where I compare it to like a Phantom, or I compare it to something like a Jupiter, or even like a UDO Super 6. So if you get into this world of these big polysynths, is the Phantom's got unbelievable amount of polyphony. On the RD piano, it's unlimited polyphony. On every other sound that's the new Zencore, it's 256 voices. So if you're a musician and you're playing a lot, you're a one-man band, that's a great synth for that level of polyphony. And it's got an analog filter. So for performance, if you're going to go and you want one board, the Phantom's probably the one board. If you've got a bunch of boards and you want to have those classic Roland sounds, exactly, you want to have a Juno, you want to have an SH-101, you want to have a Jupiter 8. The Jupiter X is probably the one you want. You could do it with the System 8, but you don't have the polyphony. So if you're trying to do a one-man show and you got a lot of things you want to run, you can run everything. And so that's the promise of that. And that's why you'd want it. And I understand the Behringer boys say, oh, you don't need that. You want to just pure analog. But you can't do everything with a bunch of monosynths. I've got monosynths in my workflow. And monosynths are great. But you can't do everything you want to do with a monosynth. And I can't really depend on soft synths coming off a laptop when I'm playing a live show. I don't really like being dependent on that because I don't want the computer to crash. So I like hardware synths because I don't have to worry with that. I'd rather use a Zoom R24 or a Tascam 24 to run my show than depend on a computer. I think the computer is fraught with all kinds of issues, and I'd rather use a hardware synth because it's going to give me what I want and it's never going to crash. So that's the point there. In a studio, maybe it's a different point. You have unlimited choices, and Roland even offers their ability to download things, but I still like the control surfaces of hardware synths. That's my preference. And, when it comes to a Moog, it's going to be hard to really replicate a software Moog. And anybody who says they can do it exactly is not really telling the truth, because you have something like a DFAM and a Mother 32 and a subharmonicon. What you can do live with those, you would never really be able to create in an online system. Though somebody can say, well, I've got all the virtual CV, I've got all that stuff, but you don't have the control surfaces that you can touch, like a guitar player touches the strings on a guitar. You don't have that. And so that is never going to match what you could do with your hands if you have that modular gear from you. And anybody who's a modular synthesist will tell you that the reason they have that modular rig is because they probably did use a DAW and they're not satisfied with the tactile experience. As a human being, we like to touch controls. We like to be able to run things and be able to get to the details. And when you have everything laid out and tons of possibilities and overrides that are just physically apparent, and even if you have virtual wire patches, because the Prophets have this modular capability with no wires, but these modular synthesists still love getting a modular rig rather than buying the Prophet, because they want to take that CV wire and patch it into another wire. Now, I know there are people that probably, well, I don't know, that's the old school, that's the 1960s way of doing things. But it seems like there's a lot of people that like that 1960s way of doing things. So I've gone off on a tangent on that, but, when it comes down to it, I would love to have a UDO Super 6, a Phantom, and a Jupiter X. If it came down to, trying to go forward, probably the UDO Super 6 is probably the most forward-thinking modern synth, and it's got a step backwards, and it's got like a Roland Jupiter 6, Jupiter 8 type of workflow and look. But then it's got the binaural, true stereo oscillators. It's a stereo workflow from the beginning of the synth, not done near the end of the synth. With a lot of subtractor synths, it becomes stereo when you get to the VCA or you get to the filter. Then it becomes stereo. This is stereo at the oscillator, which is very rare. And then the fact that it's FGPA, which is somewhat like what the System 8 can do, which is like, that ability to do behavioral modeling. It's a digital synth that can model, like the System 8 models of Jupiter. This can model things. So the question in the future is it going to have software upgrades where it actually does model old synths? Is it going to be able to go back and model a CS80? Will it be able to model, like on, Korg workstations and different, workstations that exist, have been able to like have a CS80 model or a Jupiter 8 model, or a SH101 model, or an Oberheim model? Is it going to be able to do that? And that's the question. Is it going to do that, or is it always just going to be forward and just have, wavetable models, granular synthesis models? But is it actually going to model a something like, if you go back and you look at like a Hammond B3, model a Hammond B3, model a Mellotron? That would be cool. Because that's the promise of FGPA is it does what Roland's been doing with the behavioral modeling. But Roland seems to have moved to Zencore, because Zencore, unlike behavioral modeling, is not limited to 8 voices. I have a System 1M, which I use to great effect on a lot of tracks. And you can hear it on the Ethereal Fair Done right there. It's a great synth because it sounds like an analog synth, even though it's digital. And the version I have is the one that actually has CV. So it has a CV capability where it allows you to, operate it like a Moog. And it's got that classic model System 100, System 700 type of oscillators. It seems to run like the old 1970 Roland classic analog synths, like what you would call the old the old green-faced series of SH1s, SH5s, SH3s. Those are like some of Roland's best synths. They've been brought back through, the System 8 has the ability to do a lot of system SH5 type stuff. I think it has an SH5 or SH3 filter. That filter, I don't know if it's been carried on to the Zencore, And so that's the question a lot of people have is that can Zencore really do that? Well, we see on the Jupiter X that the Zencore engine has been modeled to behave like a System 8, but with full polyphony. Some people have argued that the System 8 actually sounds more analog than the Zencore. I'm not sure if that's true. I've watched like 10 different reviews of Zencore Jupiter X, and it seems to be pretty close. It's kind of like really, being very much of a nitpick on it. It's as close as pretty close, and the added polyphony to me gives it an advantage. And the actual control structure, the System 8 control structure is really cool, but it doesn't look like a system like a Jupiter. And what the cool thing about the Jupiter X workflow is, it is a Jupiter X workflow. It looks exactly like it, and that there's some things about that why people like the mini mode, why people like the grandmother, why people like the matriarch. It's got that classic subtractive workflow, which Roland had in systems like the Jupiter 6, the Jupiter 4, Jupiter 8, SH101, SH5s, SH3s. That subtractive workflow is interesting. That's why people love the Roland modules, like the System 700 modules, which I've always looked at, but they're like almost $3,000 to get all those. It's a dream that hopefully with this new recording contract I'll be able to get into. The other song we have here is a political electronic song called Too Long Wronged, which is a continuation of what we did with Something Wicked. And it's basically talking about how Black folks in this country have been wronged for a long time. And it's the time for society to give us our 40 acres and a mule, figuratively, when it comes to the justice system, and defund the police and, stop it. Because really the problem with the police is, you call them for a domestic violence incident and then your partner gets murdered or you get murdered. You call them to handle a mental health issue and the person ends up getting killed. And that doesn't really solve the problem. So you got to have people who actually have the tools to handle the problem. And for somebody with a gun and a baton is not the person that probably want to solve the problem. So you want to have a social service person with a security detail that would be subject to the law. If you have a private security detail, they'd be easier to deal with because they don't have a police union protecting them. You'd be able to look at their police record. You'd be able to fire them. You'd be able to prosecute them because they're a private individual that would not be protected by a police union. And that's the big problem. So you got to get things like 50A in New York. You got to get things like that protect the police officer's background. You shouldn't have preferential treatment just because they're doing the work of the elites. That's not something we need to stand for anymore. It's the 21st century. We got to change policing. And then the song Ethereal Fair, done right there, is Josephine again getting into her kind of romantic, new wave era stuff with a little punk aesthetic on it. And so that's what that song's about. But again, we'd like you to click on all the links we put out here. We got the PayPal Me link if you want to support the Ghost. You also have the booking link from Kanga in Space if you're interested. And if you're a person that is got a business and you want to have us push your product, you can do that as well. So we'll just click on the link to do a voicemail connection to us, or you can send us an Instagram message at our Instagram, which is expansive_sound_experiments. And you can do that, or you can send us a direct message on our Facebook, which is at Facebook at Phantom Electric Ghost. We're at Phantom Electric Ghost at Facebook. So at Phantom Electric Ghost Facebook. Thank you.
I like dude. I like food. I like food. You. I look cool. I'll be bold. I'll be tramp for you. I do dude. I do the nude. I do the cool. You. I'm nasty. I'll do trash. I'll be trained for you. Ooh. I'll be a tramp, I'll be that dude. Up in this, without class. I think trash with you. Up in this, without class. I do trash with you. I want flash. I like trash. I'll do it mad with you. I'm a tramp. I do the dance. And yes, I'm mad with you. I'll do the band. I'll do the dance. I'll do that trash with you. I'll be a tramp. Do what I can. I'll be a tramp for you. As a man, do up and down, do all the trap with you. I do the trap, I leave the car crash, and I do the nail with you. And I do the man, and yes I am, and I'll do bad with you. Yes I'm tramp, and I'll be tramp, and I'm man. Do it, do it, you. I'll be the man, take it up and down, and even though class can crash with you. I'll be a tramp, do what I can, do up and down with you. I'll be you. Ain't no class, true. Do it lewd, mood. Do it wood, blue. Darling, I'll do. I'll do it fast, I'm there. I'll do it fast with you. If you're crap, if you're trash, I'll do. I'll do what that dude. I'll do it fast, do that on class. I'll do that trash with you. I'll do it fast, I'll do it fast. I'll do it bad with you. No, I'm fast, do it on nails. I'll do it trash with you. No one's been going wrong, but too long we've been wrong. Too long you've been too strong. Now we're wrong. See what's going on. Too long we've been wrong. Too long you've been strong. Straight, taking a name into me. Now our sun seems sane. Now as you can see, now us wasn't seem the same. You can't do it to me. You can't take a knee to a black man on the street. Can't take a knee to a black man on the street. What was obscene seen? What was obscene now seen? Can't do that to a black man on the street. Now it's going on, been going on too long. You've been too strong and doing it to me. Now I'm seen and unseen. Never get to a taking me. You just can't take it me just like I'm on the street. Now every George, you and me. And I know the American tradition is me. Cold silence on the street, taking a knee to a black man not unlike me. That's how it be. That's how we see. What's unseen is now seen. Can't take with me to a black man on the street. He looks a lot like me. Look like you're gonna be. Look like you're gonna be. Look like it's gonna be. Red, white, and blue colors bleed, especially on the street. Red, white, and blue colors bleed on the street like me. Well, please don't have to a black man on the street. And now was seen, black man on the street. Please, man, taking a knee, it looked like me. Loud seen. Now what's the scene obscene? Taking a knee to a black man on the street. And that red, white, blue colors bleed. Now you know who to feed. Now you know what you need. Do it, not free. It's not free. But you know what to do, and it's not free. Defund, please. Defund, please. Take off that knee off me. I'll touch you right in the square. You like the wind blow through your hair. A phantasm whisper the air. I touch you everywhere. The crowd don't know what is there. You like the wisp with nothing air. I blow her right through your hair. Right through the central square. It doesn't touch you everywhere. I'm a ghost and I don't care. I'll get you right there. Yeah, right in the central square. Like a wizard of air. Blowing through the wind in your hair. I'm a ghost and why would I care? I wanna touch you everywhere, and the public they will stare, and they don't know they're unaware that I can touch you everywhere. Don't care, I'm a fan and whisper there. I'm a fan, I'll touch you there. Let's go like a wind caresses your hair. I'll get you right in the central square. And the public will stare, but I don't care. They're unaware, and you're getting my hair. I'm aware, and they just don't care. The public will stare, I do you right there. In Central Square, like a wind blowing through your hair. But you're there, won't touch you everywhere. And the public will stare, but I don't care. They're unaware, I got you right there. They're unaware, I got you there. They're everywhere, I just don't care. Went through the air like a sun. Do you understand? Until you're blind, why you get there? But you're all blind. I did all your hair. You don't you wear nothing in the underwear. there if they're unaware. Down in the square, you go through your hair, your underwear, they're unaware. Why would I care? And I get you right there. Why would I care? 'Cause you're done right there. On the stair, go done unaware, go done unaware. To get you in that stare, I got that blank stare 'cause we had no underwear. You got that blank stare 'cause you had no underwear. I got you right there in the center square. Goes done, done, and you're unaware.